Mike, do you want me to hold on to the keyboard in case anyone else shows up?
No, I can, once I join in on my laptop.
Oh, you'll switch it over.
I can switch over from there. I just have to initiate the meeting on that computer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Was it just you and Mary Lou in the meeting?
No, it was, I have to join the meeting here. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience with switching over the meetings. We have already called the meeting to order and done the pledge to the flag. Ask the clerk to do the roll call again for this meeting.
Councilman Coleman,
Here.
Councilwoman Nowen is absent. Councilman Paddock,
Here.
Councilman Smeeseth. Here. Supervisor Baden.
Here. The first resolution is acceptance of the agenda, and there are a couple additions. The town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. We will be adding a discussion of a letter to the Public Service Commission at Councilman Coleman's request. We will be setting a public hearing date for the granary project. And we are adding discussion of freedom of information request policy for the town. Those items were not. So I'd ask for a motion with those three additions.
I comment on that first, Mike.
Yep.
I sent an email out to both Mikes this afternoon on that letter to the Public Service Commission because I do have some legal advice I want to provide for that, and I'd rather provide it in an attorney's meeting. I don't know if you guys saw it. So
So we
rather
will,
than-
I did not. So we will not put that in the agenda. We will consider that after the meeting.
right, and I'm happy to, have an attorney's meeting with attorney-client privilege after the meeting if that works for everybody.
Okay, understood. Understood. I did not see that email, so. So we will, the agenda as proposed with the addition of the public hearing for the granary and the foil.
Make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next, the supervisor's report. This is the general fund through. Oh, there's my local law that I was trying to find. Buried in the bottom of these other. This is through April for the general fund. Adams, Kate, Aaron. This is,
Maybe it's highway.
Oh, okay, that was highway. This is general. Adam. For each of you. One for me. This is the American Rescue reporting that was due March 31st or due April 30th through March 30th. Okay, so that one actually is for Jeff or Jess. Reporting out on the AUD big review. The financial report for April. Review if you have any questions. The AUD was filed on May 1st by our accounting firm. I still want to call them Sikla, Torsha, Allen, and Churchill, but it's now RTL. I have a printed copy of the for each of you for your records. For Aaron. One for your records, Katie. Overall, we did very well on the general fund. Highway fund, we overspent a little bit. We have dipped into the fund balance. I've already sent you PDFs of it. This is now a printed copy of what was filed. Please review it at your leisure. We can certainly talk more about it if we have any concerns. And please review the financials. Bear in mind that there are some rollbacks and forwards amendments that are done in the AUD process, bills that are paid in 2023 that were really 2022 bills. The accountant will be providing in the next few weeks a list of journal entries to include. And once those are done, we will have a very accurate picture of where we stand in the 2023 budget. At that time, probably at the June meeting, I will bring some budget amendments to you, but I want to wait until those transitions are done. So we're all talking apples to apples rather than commingling 2022 and 2020. But in general,
So it's January to April 2020.
oh, you are correct, Kate. No, it is not.
Okay.
Ignore the January or the highway one, and I will print the correct one. I did not notice that it grabbed the wrong date. So thank you for that catch, and we will correct it. So if you want to give them back to me, I'll just shred them, and we'll get the correct ones to you next week. Sorry about that. I'll get you yours tomorrow. Good catch, thank you, Kate. The ARPA funding, we are reported out as of the end of March 31. We have expended $427,806.05. We have remaining $307,678.92. We must have signed contracts or have that money designated by the end of 2024. So we essentially have a year and 8 months to identify what we want to do with that money. We could, however, absorb it into the general fund, and as long as we're not paying down debt, we can't pay pensions with it. There's a number of other things we can't pay for it, but it can be utilized as lost revenue to be paid for. For example, we could take some of this and pay it for the bathroom. And it gets designated that way. So just wanted to give you the picture of where we stand. We've spent about 60%. Yeah, roughly 60%. So the March 2023 financials, I did not have the revenue lines for you last month. General fund revenue was $129,444.35. Highway fund revenue in March was $104,715.94. Capital fund revenue was $92,333.79. The April revenue for the general fund, it is $60,676.57.
Did you say 77?
$60,676.57. Highway fund revenue is $3,953.69. General fund expenditures are $59,740.69. Highway fund expenditures are $145,496.86. The capital fund expended $0. The street lighting fund expended $1,389.83. I'm sorry, this was the abstract, not expenditures. The ambulance fund, $91,375, and the escrow fund, $2,483.27. The total expenditures for the month of April, general fund, $148,963.90. The highway fund, $191,718.43. The capital fund is 0. The street lighting fund is $1,389.83. The ambulance fund is $91,375, and the escrow fund is $2,483.27. The correspondence report will be emailed to you. There were a number of resident correspondences that I want to print and email them to you rather than forwarding each one individually. The supervisor's update, I want to first recognize our town clerk. I was very, very proud to nominate her for the Rondout Valley, and my apologies for my typo on Valley, Hall of Pride. For those who don't know, in 2012, the Rondout Valley School District started what they call the Hall of Pride, where they induct up to 4 people each year into an honorary group of people. A plaque is posted in the main entryway. The person gets another copy of the plaque. And I first became aware of it when I was on the school board, and I think it's a great program. I've been trying to think of somebody to nominate since then. And I was very, very proud to nominate our town clerk this year, and I think she gave the best speech of anybody. Knocked it out of the park, and definitely had the most attendance. I learned that there are a lot of attendance. So, Kate, congratulations. It was truly a pleasure and an honor. The Memorial Day Parade will be taking place. The lineup will be at 12:30, 1 p.m. kickoff from the Town Hall Park, the Town Park area. It will go down Scenic Road, ending at the firehouse. We will be doing a ceremony at Veterans Park at noon prior to the parade. So if anyone is able to attend, it would be greatly appreciated. And by doing it right before the parade, people can come and then they can participate in. If anybody, and Kate, I'll let Lily do since you're the one sort of somewhat organized.
I was just gonna ask for the word out.
Okay, well, you want to help because you got the word better than I do.
Well, so the fire company is trying to get more engagement with the Memorial Day Parade and get people to stay afterwards. So they are gonna have some light refreshments afterwards and trying to get people to kind of don't just go. So that's really all I know.
What date is it?
It's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, Monday, May 29th. So, the New York State budget, you may have seen press releases yesterday. It was adopted, signed into effect. How that impacts us is things like CHIPS money have been on hold. We will now find out the amount. It's our understanding that the funding amount will remain the same as last year. I don't believe there were any changes. There may even be a slight increase, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But the good news is all the programs, the pothole program, the CHIPS funding, the extreme winter recovery funding will all maintain. So we should be able to get the full complement of funding from the state for our roads. And that's the biggest impact to us. There were some political decisions made also that were accompanying the budget. I won't get into them, but we have an assigned budget. It was due April 1st, and so it is now, it was over a month, but it did get done. The grant updates, the New York Rising, I was very happy to take the community center off the list. That project has, as I announced, has been closed out. The Algerville Firehouse, however, still remains. There are some punch list items that did not get done. The engineering and project manager firm, the gentleman who was overseeing that is no longer with their firm. We're now working with a team of people and directly with the owner of the company. We will be doing a walkthrough on Monday and creating a final list of punch list items and hopefully getting them resolved in the very near future. The heating, the one troubling thing, the heating thermostat for the back room is on back order and has been on back order for the specific type that was spec'd for 12 months, 13 months, something like that. So we may have to, they are prepared to replace it when it finally comes in, but what's there now is not functioning the way it was intended to function. So hopefully we can resolve those questions. The Bridge New York is moving along on progress. You will start seeing more bills and bigger bills in the vouchers. They are in the design process. They have done the surveying. They have done the test engineering. And I'm scheduled to have a follow-up call with them sometime in the next 2 weeks to see. We are still on progress for construction in the next season, the next construction season. That's our hope. That's our hope. So, I wanted to share with you from the recreation department. They gave us as you know, they do many events. I did ask them to do a little bit of a budget end of event budget process. So you can see the St. Patrick's Luncheon. That's for Aaron. I did. That was the money we expended versus the tremendous amount of donations that we received. So we received $1,111 in donations. The event for 200 people, 200 plus people was $1,300. So corned beef and cabbage meal and everything included for under $7. Not too bad. So the end result of that event cost the town $194.09. So a big thank you to the recreation. I did bring that to you. The recreation department for all they do on that. We heard back from the planning department. As you know, in March, they had the call for inclusions in the ag district. There are 2 owners who have applied in the town of Rochester. It encompasses 3 properties. So they are in the review process now. The next steps are the planning department, Bert Samuelson from the planning department, and the people from the Farm Protection Board will view each of these farms. The Farm Protection Board will be meeting in the latter end of May. Then they will make a recommendation to the county legislature, who will hold a public hearing and then decide whether to these properties. There were 2 applications in the town of Rochester. There were 15 in total, including some from the town of Olive, who has had no farmland in the ag district previously. So, and then once the county finishes their process, if the ones that pass the county legislature are then forwarded to the Commissioner of Agriculture in Albany, who then ultimately signs off on the properties. What the benefits of being included in the agricultural district is it relaxes some of the land use zoning standards for farming to weigh the benefit of what agriculture brings to the community. So good news that we continue to grow. There is a county EMS emergency management survey, emergency medical, excuse me. That is being conducted. There is a link to a Survey Monkey that was on our website. It's in the news section. I would encourage each of you to go to it, answer it as best as you can. The county has contracted with the firm who is doing this throughout the county to identify strengths and weaknesses in the county EMS system in hopes of improving it in the bigger overall picture. This is not about any one particular agency. It's looking at each and every agency and how they operate. And as we've all learned through this process, it's a big mix across the county of how people operate. Some are volunteers, some are paid, some are professionals that are private companies. It's all over the map. So the Ulster County Public Auction will be taking place it is online. It will take place on June 13th at 9 a.m. Anyone who wishes to consider bidding on properties that the county has secured due to non-payment of 3 years of taxes, they must be pre-registered by 5 p.m. on June 12th. It is not being held at the college as it has in the past. It is only online. The good news is Rochester only has 4 parcels that are up, and 2 of them are very, very tiny parcels that I'm guessing they're just something that somebody has acquired over time due to a death or, they're fairly low amount of taxes that are due, but they're very, very under a 1/4 acre size parcels. So, but anyone who wishes to partake in that, that is when the next one is happening. And then update on the O&W Rail Trail. Got an email from the OSI representative. They are going out to bids on the project. It may have been today, actually. They were going out to bids. They are doing a very short window of bid time. They anticipate that they will have bids back within a few weeks, and they are still looking for a June target of construction start. The trail will remain open throughout. They will not be working on the weekends. The only time when there are portions of the trail will be closed is when they're working on the bridges, because obviously if there's no deck on the bridge, you're not able to cross the bridge. So, but they will be doing sort of rolling work areas where a small portion of it might be closed rather than the trail. Whole is to be done. And they are doing our section and the section in Kerhonkson simultaneously. We are looking at new kiosks. They are looking at getting prices. We would pay for them, but to try to keep commonality between Rochester throughout the whole O&W trail, they might be doing the ordering and then we fund them. We're looking at probably less than a couple $1,000 a kiosk. It's not a significant amount of money. I think the total bill, we talked about having one at the Burn Road entrance, one at Town Hall, and one at the other end in Kerhonkson, which that one would be picked up by Town of Warson. So we'd be paying for 2. I think it would be a big improvement over what we have. They also have redesigned our parking area and will do the gravel and sub base with the intent that we would then, our highway department would have it paved, and we would get it, hopefully get it striped. It would expand to allow 8 cars parked there. Yeah. We're going to expand it down, widen it. They're going to cut down that berm that kind of exists there with the drainage ditch. They're going to put a pipe in at the drainage ditch, kind of make that berm a lot more gradual. And the trail, instead of starting where it starts now by the existing kiosk, will carry all the way down to the roadway in hopes that in time it will extend past there. So, and we will expand that parking area to accommodate 8 people, because on a busy weekend, it's full. So great improvements. And that's all I have. So Mary Lou, do you have anything on,
There's a number of things I've been working on that are on the agenda for later, so we'll talk about those. I'm also working with the building department on a potential violation issue. We're in the early stages of reviewing paperwork, et cetera. So I don't have anything to report at this time, but if something happens, it will be litigation, so I will update you by email
okay,
because it will be confidential.
okay. Kate, town clerk, tax collector?
For tax collection, unpaid notices went out on Monday, and the final day to pay to the town is June 1st. For town clerk, for the month of April, $51,265.73 were collected. And we received resignations from Kira Power from the planning board and George Santana, constable. And that's it.
Okay. Highway superintendent report, they are starting to do some road work preparations. There are a number of coming up, was it next week, Kate, or when the road closures? So within the next couple of weeks, there are some work that is being done on Cherrytown, Upper Cherrytown in that area. There will be intermittent closures of the road while that road work is being done. They have been posting on the Highway Department's Facebook page a notice of when those exact closures will happen and where they will happen. And we are getting into summer road work season. Liaison reports, I'm going to start with Michael because he's going to do Councilwoman Nowens as well. So we'll let Michael go first.
Well, I'm still back into the swing of things, so I haven't been able to attend as many meetings as I wanted to. In terms of EMS, so we got the Marlton First Aid Unit quarterly report. Total calls for the quarter was 127. 9 of those were in Rochester Pond. Mutual aid was 28, and 11 of those were Rochester. First call in district response rate was 100%. Second call in district response rate was 100%. Good news there. KFAS, we saw they have a new report format. Thank Mr. Boland for providing them with a guideline for that. I think it's really useful to see numbers. We talked last time about March numbers, so they had a perfect response rate for calls. And looking at the numbers chart here, it looks like it was exactly 50-50 volunteer versus paid crew. So that's a great sign. It shows that the hybrid model is working for them. So hopefully we'll see that continue in the future. Accord Fire District, I haven't had a chance to get back to check in with the fire commissioners again since I was last there. I did reach out to Assistant Chief Nelson. He said he would check in with the commissioners and the rest of the leadership team to see if there was anything they needed, but he mentioned that you were working the Algerville Firehouse punch list with them. CBA, nothing really new to report, although next week we have a meeting to discuss the ZBA and Planning Board Secretary position and roles and responsibilities there. So looking forward to that. Charter Spectrum, I think we have the agenda for later today, so we'll talk with Mary Lou and see if there's any updates about that. I think go over to the 20-page document that Aaron haven't proofread this. So. Agricultural Committee, so our agriculture. So we, all of us here, conducted 16 interviews for 7 seats on the newly formed Agricultural Advisory Committee. Amazing turnout of interested applicants from the community. And now the board has the very difficult task of making those appointments. So once the appointments are made, so she's very excited to see the new committee get to work. Planning Board, this comes from Chair Grasso. Planning Board currently has 27 open applications and is working through them proactively. 3 are slated for public hearing in May, while others are moving through the process nicely. Additional items that are pending include subdivisions, site plan, and special use applications that the board will review when applicants submit the required documentation. Other items are awaiting the moratorium to be lifted to be considered at the planning board level. She'd like to acknowledge and thank Chair Grasso for doing the heavy lifting, filling in as the planning board secretary and being the chair. The amount of applications before the planning board doing both roles must be like carrying around weights in his suitcase. This is Aaron, not me saying this. He also says, you know, Chair Grasso, Chair Zarowski, and Supervisor Baden are working to make that appointment as quickly as possible. Under Chair Grasso, the planning board recently updated the table arrangement and it seems to have had positive results. Code enforcement. We, again, the town board, received one correspondence from CEO Derek Davis requesting that we look at amending 140-13.1 accessory dwelling units. It would be good for the board to take a look at that to see how we may address the concerns about the intent and application of that law. Monthly report for April. There's instructions here. Read the department income for April plus the activity left-hand side. See, these are great directions. Great direction. Okay, so April, department income, 2,500, fire inspections, 595, safety inspections, 1,100, restitution for surcharge, 0, zoning fees, 0, safety permits, 475, business license permits, 0, buildings and alterations, 9,744.65, other permits, 8,207.50, for a total of 22,622.15 cents. COs and Cs issued was 19, permits issued was 54, miscellaneous correspondence was 8, municipal searches 17, violations 0. For inspection, we have houses 5, mobile homes 1, additions 49, garages 0, short-term transient rentals 2, FSI 8, sorry. FSI.
Safety, fire safety.
Fire safety inspections, 8. Office consultations 11. Get back to the 30-page document. For about an 8 way through here. Transfer station, we have a slightly new layout at the transfer station. Municipal solid waste bins 1 to 3 are now all on the lower level. The scrap metal bin is on the top level. This makes it easier to access with vehicles. I'm hoping to work on some new signage for the bins, particularly the paper bin. There's been a lot of cardboard in there lately. Directional sign of the cardboard bin might help! Exclamation point. I received, she didn't tell me to read the exclamation point, but I chose because I didn't put the proper emphasis on it. I received correspondence regarding the platform that has been partially built for exchange, that the Rotary Club would like to complete that project. Town board would allow. If not, they request that they be able to remove materials they installed so they can repurpose them. I think this is a reasonable request and we should respond. Perhaps we can discuss next week if the answer is not obvious tonight. Exclamation point.
I've been having conversations with them.
Great. Hybrid transfer station and ECC, the monthly pliable plastic, aka bag collection event, is this Saturday at the transfer station from 11:30 to 3:30 p.m. The collection days are scheduled for the first Saturday of each month. All plastics will be inspected, approved by an ECC member. We are not allowing drop off at other times. The details are included in new items on the website. And I'm told this is optional to read, but I am going to read it because I think it's important and it's a good program. So what can be recycled? First off, it has to be clean and dry. Bread bags, produce bags, newspaper sleeves, pallet wrap and stretch film, salt and ice bags, grocery bags, cereal bags, case overwrap, bubble wrap, wood pellet bags, plastic shipping envelopes, dry cleaning bags, Ziploc and other reclosable food storage bags. So it's a pretty wide array of soft plastics.
Not frozen vegetable bags.
Right.
They are not.
I think that was a discussion last time.
Yes.
I still save them. I guess I have to throw
The
it.
company will not take them because of the food.
Got it. This month is opportunity. I'm sorry, I don't have to read the rest of it. When was that? This thing on purpose, I know. ECC, the ECC co-sponsored a planning event on Earth Day. 25% participants attended and helped plant trees and learned about pollinators from local butterfly authority and legend Marilyn Manos Jones. The ECC has been in touch with Diane of Catskill Native Nursery, and she's hoping to begin installing the pollinator garden at the town hall in June. I will make sure that is coordinated clearly with the town hall and Supervisor Baden, smiley face. They also had some ideas on naming the garden in honor of Marilyn Manos Jones, who is not a Torre resident but lives in Ulster County and is very supportive of pollinator initiatives. The ECC is requesting that the town authorize joining the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions. It's a $75 annual fee and will allow them to attend the annual conference. I've included a link at the website and will request that we decide on that in the next meeting. Save the date. The annual tire pull is Saturday, June 17th. We need boats and kayaks. If you have them and can attend or can lend, please contact the ECC at ecc@townofrochester.newyork.gov. And I don't know where that event is going to be. Is it going to be at the boat launch or the Burn Road Rail Trail?
I'm not on.
Oh, that's squared in.
They'll either meet there or they may meet outside at the bridge there
Okay.
on 42nd Street.
All right. So, well, we have some time for this. June 17th. May 3rd, Thursday. May 18th at 6:30 p.m. Local farming. Bob Fade of Fiddlehead Farm of Rosendale, New York. Third Thursdays are held on Zoom. Visit the ECC's page on their website or Facebook for more info. The Pollinator Pathways has requested that they post our resolution to their website. ECC is also moving forward with getting a chapter page on their website right now. And then there's like an introduction section that says, speaking of websites, website. Update for the board and the public. The functional design has been approved. This is for our town website with my editorialization and is now being fully developed by Revise. Created a site map this winter and Revise is going to create the site map based on that. Select page templates for us. Next step will be content. There will be a training offered that hopefully myself, Supervisor Baden, and Kirk Gunberg will attend, initially to help us create a project plan for the site content. We will be working with a blank site, basically, and creating fresh and revised content based on our current site and feedback from our departments, boards, and the public. I hope that we will have a small but mighty committee that will work together in an organized way. For transparency, each editor of the website will also be offered trainings by Revise, but to create a plan, we decided to have a smaller group. Councilwoman Now and Kate, Supervisor Baden. Get a sense of it first so we can create a plan for approving and editing the content for the initial site launch, which is still a few months away. I'm excited for the next step. That's Aaron Levy. I'm also excited though. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Rich Miller, our website coordinator, for his quick and responsive execution to all sorts of website requests. The public isn't aware of getting email alerts. We're getting email alerts about our news and notices. Highly recommend subscribing to the news. This is a great feature and a great way to stay in touch with the town and all the postings Rich publishes on behalf of our board and other departments. The subscription link can be found under the news bin.
I have to say, Michael, I offered to give her and she said, Councilman Coleman is going to do it, and I could not have done it the same justice.
Oh, nice. I practiced this.
I'm sure. Charlotte.
All right, I was not going to be longer, it's exciting, and will excitingly read. So Housing Committee, our meeting last month, Ben Martello, was part of a team that did the review for Town of Marpletown for their housing issues. He came and gave us a presentation on Marpletown, the same presentation he gave Marpletown, but kind of updated it and added some verbiage from our zoning code in there about steps to take towards a zoning plan and different issues with affordable housing and STRs and ADUs in the town. And then did a little Q&A with the board or with the committee after that. And it was a great time. There was a lot of good information that came out of that. Some ideas that I'm going to bring to some of our zoning chapters that we discussed in that for affordable housing and workforce housing. And then elder care, we've had a few new applications come in and a few more people join the program. And me and Rich are going to coordinate with Ashley and Bethany, and June 15th is Elder Care Abuse Awareness Day. And we're going to do an elder resource information information session here for a couple hours with coffee and tea and some light refreshments. Hopefully, I don't have times or anything yet. We're gonna get that planned out, and hopefully by next week I'll have some set times and exactly when it's gonna be. But just to offer resources for how to sign up with Office of Aging, how to sign up for our elder care program, and different resources for the elders in our community. It's not gonna focus on elder care abuse, even though we're doing it on Elder Care Abuse Awareness Day. It's gonna just be in conjunction with that. And it's wear purple that day. That is the color to support. So that's all I got for now, guys.
That's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work your committee's doing.
Yeah.
Adam,
Very excited. Oh, and sorry, the housing committee, I'm attending the Pace University and Affordable Housing Summit next week.
I was
Supervisor
just gonna ask you that.
and also Marty Rockford is gonna be attending also.
Oh,
She
good.
emailed me today that she'll be
we should, the three of us, rather than all three of us driving, we should.
there. I offered a carpool. Marty hasn't responded to that.
Okay.
So I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know, as, yeah, I signed up for it as well.
Here we go. Constabulary report answered 12 direct calls for service and other duties in April each year. 9 neighbor-to-neighbor and quality of life complaints, 3 resident traffic complaints, Whitfield Road, Sampsonville Road, Cherrytown Road, 1 environmental complaint on Rochester Center, 4 new building department violations, 0 new court cases were opened, 9 court proceedings remain open, 0 court proceedings were closed. Interesting occurrences. This month, we had a number of issues regarding individuals remaining unlawfully within a condemned dwelling. These are ongoing. We'll continue to work with the building department to solve them. Dumping of large junk items and household trash continues to be an issue. We've started to increase, we've had an increase of number of complaints regarding traffic flow and speed on several town roads. Short-term rental properties continue to generate many complaints, especially on Fridays and weekends. The local swimming hole traffic and parking issues are beginning again. We've continued to monitor the situation with the assistance of several vigilant town residents, and neighbor-to-neighbor complaints have remained decreased this month, and all have been diffused without further action. From Rich Miller. And then our report for the rec department actually says the recreation department is gearing up for Spring Fling Luncheon on Friday, May 19th. So call to sign up now. The line dancing has officially begun again on Wednesdays from 11 to 12, 11 a.m. to lunchtime at the Harold Lipton Community Center. Walk-ins are welcome, and the class is free to attend. The Accord Fire Department has announced that this year's Memorial Day Parade will take place on Monday, the 29th, starting at 1 p.m. from the Town Hall, traveling down Scenic Road and Main Street in Accord and ending at the Firehouse. The Rec Department will have a float in the parade. Please come out and show your support.
Does the board want to participate as a board as we have in the past? I plan on participating, and if anybody else would like to join, we usually ride on the back of the highway trucks.
It's the only time I get to ride in the back of a pickup truck these days.
So, yeah.
Sure, I don't think I'm having a baby this year on Memorial Day.
I'm just-
I think I
yeah.
should be there.
You had a very valid excuse
Yes.
last year. Great.
Ashley should have added that summer program was booked in less than an hour.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
The rock concert that is the summer program.
And thank you, Kate, for assisting in the sign up of it.
Yeah, people are in line for 2 hours before you can start.
Great. A couple of follow-ups just on some of the reports. So I am talking to the Rotary about that area there. We're still resolving it. That overhang causes some severe sight distance issues of people and vehicles and pedestrians. So before we allow them to invest more time in it, I want to just resolve those issues because it's an accidentally that. So,
The sightline specifically.
Yeah.
Not the flat.
no, it's the sight lines of people driving around that corner and with people congregating there. And now with the reuse center, there's a lot more people in that area, and because they closed it off with walls, it used to be open and so you could see through, but now that it's closed off with walls, it's caused some issues. So we need to resolve some of that. But I have talked with them. I did meet with the Rotary Club at the pavilion where they offered to do the ongoing bookcase kind of thing at the Park Pavilion. They plan to install that the end of May. There's a Rotary Service Day. I think they said it was May 20th. They plan to install it. They also asked for permission, and I have given them to do some new painting on the train and the plane that are there, that remain, that are very much loved by kids. So they had asked, and they're going to supply me an insurance certificate to just cover any possibility of personal injury, but it's volunteer labor, volunteer paint, and they'd like to do all that in that one day. So they're going to install that bookcase. We identified where it should go, and they will monitor it with keeping it stocked. And it's purposely being put low to the ground because it's designed and planned specifically for younger children. Well, children of all ages, but. The assessor's report, May 1st is is it tentative? The tentative assessment roll must be done by May 1st. A lot of work put into getting it by our assessor, who was out with illness for part of the week before and still managed to get it all done. Great thanks to our assessor's aide for all her help through the process. Grievance day is Thursday, May 25th. You have the hours? 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the community center. The roll will be available online sometime in the next few days. The county is getting caught up on town by town. I know the city of Kingston was up, and some they will continue getting online in the next few days.
There is a hard copy in the office.
Yes, there is a hard copy in the office, in the assessor's office. The assessor's office, if anybody wishes. We did put $21 million in new assessed value on the town. The bulk of those were 30, probably closer to 40 new constructions.
21 million.
21 million, yes. Last year we put about 18 million, this year another 21 million. So it's approximately a 5% increase in the assessed value. So come budget time, people should be pleasantly happy with the addition of that. That should lower the tax rate, as long as we can keep our expense line in line with less than that increase. So, which I'm confident we can do. So that's great news. And the bulk of that was changes to construction and new construction. And I think that's all. Oh, Kate, HPC, I'm sorry.
HPC, once the weather is nice, Howie Slotnick is going to start working on the historic markers, the restoration of them. He's going to be doing the Tom Quick sign is right outside the old Anderson home on 209 there by Rosencrantz Masonry. And the other one is the Colonial Fort sign that is pretty much on the top of Sampsonville Road. 209 across from Sampsonville Road. They're also working on a Hamlet Talk and oral history project. They're putting together old family lore and history stories of the hamlets in the town of Rochester. And they didn't have a quorum last month, so they weren't able to move further with some ideas that they have events planned for the remainder of the year. So for the next month, we'll have an That's it.
Okay. Well, we're on that topic. We are in need of one planning board member, a zoning board of appeals alternate, an alternate to the ethics board. We are also in need of a person on the both the Rochester Ambulance District and the High Falls Ambulance District. That could be the same person. And there are openings on the Environmental Conservation Commission as well as the Historic Preservation Commission. So if anyone is interested in any of those committees, commissions, please send an email to myself or the town clerk with detailing why you're interested and a short summary of your background, or resume, whatever you're comfortable with. And we would like to get those spots filled. So, and with that, I will call for public comment. Start with Ms. Bruck.
Yes, thank you. Before I get started with the prepared statement, I just want to go back to the supervisor's report, correspondence report, and would ask that you include the email that was exchanged between you and Chris Kelly with the Ulster County Executive Office so that the town board is aware of the disparaging email that you sent regarding my husband and myself. Good evening, town board members. Based on Supervisor Baden's recent attacks on me, I'm requesting the following. 1, a social media and email policy for elected officials. There is not currently one in place. This should include 2, a code of conduct for elected officials as it pertains to communications with and about other agencies and town residents and visitors. It is my understanding that we have a consultant available who can handle these tasks. Include any ramifications for breaking these policies and codes. I've been advised that the malevolent actions Supervisor Baden is making in his professional capacity are not addressed by our ethics committee, and that the town board is unclear how to move forward. Having policies in place will give you guidelines to follow. 3, a mandatory anger management course for Supervisor Baden lasting no less than 12 weeks and a certificate of completion received by the town board for public review no later than August 31st, 2023. A certificate of completion is not a HIPAA violation. It is what is required after court-mandated anger management classes. It is clear that Supervisor Baden continues to have issues dealing with his anger. He is putting his personal vendetta ahead of town safety and is unable to perform certain town business with an even temperament. 4, I am requesting that the town board review the constabulary's duties absent of Supervisor Baden's input. It appears that the restriction that Supervisor Baden and the town board placed on the constabulary was for a limited time and should have ended as of February 29, 2020. The limitation was put in place while the constabulary was under review. The results of that review were released in a report dated March 2020, which showed not only glowing reviews, but underscored that this department should not be run by resolutions. You'll see tonight that there are 2 resolutions about the constabulary. They are needless and waste town board members' precious time. 5, it is time for the constabulary to be put back into force the way it is meant to be without Supervisor Baden's interference. There is no reason that calls to the constabulary to be run through Supervisor Baden. We do not rely on Supervisor Baden for healthcare or fire emergencies. Those agencies, like the constabulary, are filled with highly trained people. Supervisor Baden is not one of those people and was not elected to be chief constable. Supervisor Baden is inconsistent and biased when enforcing laws, making him more of a threat than an asset. He has made himself more important than any other town board member and more important than any resident or visitor when it comes to the constabulary answering calls. That is proving to be a liability for our town and can be easily corrected. Chief Miller needs to be returned to the conversations about his department immediately. It is dangerous and expensive to exclude him. Our town deserves the protection that his department and its officers are ready to and able to provide. 7, I am asking that Supervisor Baden recuse himself regarding any business I have with the town. He's made it clear that he cannot conduct business in a professional manner where I am concerned, and I do not want to be victimized by him any longer. 8, I have supporting documentation for the request that I'm making this evening, and I am glad to provide that to the town board, absent of Supervisor Baden. Please let me know what you need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. The person identified as Alex, do you wish to make comments? The person online labeled Alex, do you wish to speak in public comment?
I think I'm good for now. I'm just observing. I like
Okay.
the proceeding that's happening. I like the candidature in terms of what was spoken earlier. I'll be interested to sync up with her to find out what exactly her views are and get a record of that too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Bruck, if you would care to submit your comments in writing because they were lengthy, I'm sure the town clerk would appreciate that. If you would send them directly to her.
I already had planned on doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have a section, as was requested, for the town board opportunity to respond to any public comment. Okay. Other matters, the request from the code enforcement officer regarding the ADUs, I had intended to put that on the agenda, on our workshop meeting agenda. So we can discuss it further, especially in light that Councilwoman now was not here tonight. That is why it's not on tonight's agenda. It will be on that agenda. If anybody else has any other items in particular that they want to be on that agenda. Okay, moving on to resolutions. Action on the minutes. Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the minutes of the April 4th public hearings, the April 4th business meeting, the April 13th workshop meeting, the April 15th workshop meeting, and the April 27th audit meeting as presented. And that was with one correction that Kate made.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Kate, I did notice, and if you could go back and check the March minutes, I believe in the attendance, you may have had Councilman Paddock at one of the meetings that he was not at, possibly. I think it was Councilman Paddock.
The
Was it
ones
the
that,
in the
8th of
header.
April?
the ones that I missed were April 4th and 13th.
Okay, then it wasn't Councilman Paddock, then maybe it was somebody else who missed.
Was it the one that me and Michael both wanted that?
It may have been. It may have been, I may be confusing. It
Okay.
was in March and when I noticed the one in April and I didn't get a chance to go back and look,
Okay.
I think just in the header. I think the
Okay.
votes were appropriate. I think it was just the header had the full board listed and I'm sure that was just that case, but just
Okay.
before we,
Yeah.
well, it was fresh in my head.
Okay.
Thank you. And if it was, we can, is the board comfortable with her correcting that minutes?
Yeah.
It's just a correction. Next is the acceptance of donations. And all these items are in your packet. Town of Rochester Town Board accepts donations of $94.04 from St. Pauli Textiles and $500 from Arlene Levine for the St. Patrick's Day luncheon.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. We thank Arlene. She and her husband Alan have been longtime supporters of that luncheon and have contributed every year for I can't think how far back. So,
I was a kid, so.
yeah, we greatly appreciate their contributions. Request from the Recreation Department. On request of the Recreation Director, Town of Rochester Town Board approves the Recreation Director to apply for a grant on behalf of the town to the Rondout Valley Education Foundation of up to $3,000 for programs that support initiatives outside the classroom that will fulfill the mission of the RVEF to enhance educational opportunities for the children of the Rondout Valley.
Make that motion.
For the second.
I'll second.
The process is here, the actual grant is not in here. So we have applied it in the past. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Setting a date for the special town board meeting. Before we start this process, I would like to suggest this is for a Saturday meeting as we did in April for zoning. I think we're going to need to do one each month in order to be done by October. I would propose either the 13th or the 20th, given that the 27th is Memorial Day weekend. The Councilwoman in Allen is available either one of those, as am I.
I'm not available.
Mike?
For
Yeah.
the reason.
Did you
Yes.
want me at this meeting? I'm not available either of those.
Probably do not need you as
That's
well.
what I figured, but just
Yeah,
wanted to,
we just,
make sure
it's
you
for-
knew.
it's for the next round of us going through the code, so you're not able to make it.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not. My husband's working the next 2 Saturdays.
Okay.
Following ones. Miss that.
Cannot make that.
And I don't think I can make those either.
Okay, is there a different day that we want to do? Do we want to do a Sunday? Do we want to do, starting at like 5 o'clock? Well, Erin would have problems. She could start at 5:30. We could do a marathon 5:30 to 10:30 PM. Something. I think if we don't do it, we're not going to get
Both those weekends are bad for me, but I could do more of it.
done. Erin cannot, and, I think it's important that we try to get all 5 of us.
I got the Sunday, the 21st.
No, it sounds like the weekend's not good for you at all.
Traveling.
What about a weeknight?
Yeah, it'd be easier.
Okay. Do you want
Depends on which one.
to, yeah, you want to try to come to the 11th meeting with some ideas, and we can set it that night?
Yeah, because I think we'll need Aaron here, so.
Yeah. Okay, so we will, not consider that resolution.
Just need 8 days.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table.
You have to table. It's, we didn't even make the resolution, it was just a discussion item. While we were in this slot though, taking place, I would like to make a resolution that we schedule the public hearing for the granary PEO application, local law, sorry, trying to find the agenda to get the exact language in front of me. Do you have a copy of that agenda? Oh, here we go. So, schedule a public hearing for, I would like to set it for Wednesday, May 24th, 2023. Bear in mind, that is our audit meeting, because the 25th must be grievance day. So we are meeting the day before. So I would like to set a public hearing for Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, to be held at, the question is, do we want to do it at 6:30 p.m.? Do we want to do it at 6 p.m.? Hearing for local law X of 2023 at the Harold Lipton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Accord, New York, on the matter of the request by Accord LLC for consideration of inclusion of 5 parcels in the Economic Enterprise Overlay Zoning District pursuant to Town of Rochester Code 140-18. And request the town clerk circulate.
I'll make the motion for it to be at 6 though. I think we should
6
start
p.m.
it. We've been adding some other stuff onto the audit meeting,
Okay.
just so it's
So we'll set it for 6 p.m. with the audit meeting. We'll meet it.
not follow, yeah,
That means 24th or 25th?
the
It
24th.
would be the 24th because the 25th, we would conflict with grievance day. We set that meeting date at our organizational.
No, I'm probably gonna miss that one. When I get back from San Francisco.
Okay. 6 p.m. work for you, Adam?
Yeah.
And I,
As far as I know.
okay. So you make that motion. Somebody want a second?
I'll second.
Be there.
Okay, any questions or discussion? And for clarification, we will post notice in the newspaper, on the website. We will resend notice to the 500-foot boundary neighbors. Again, our apologies for the confusion of canceling tonight, and I want to thank Kate for helping get the word out that we canceled, and apparently we succeeded because nobody showed up looking for it. Good job.
I hope that.
She did. She went around and put notices in people's mailboxes.
So guilty.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. And Mary Lou, you and I talked earlier, you are available.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now moving back to the agenda. Thank you for that. Authorizing the use of town highways, Town of Rochester Town Board authorized the town supervisor to sign the proposed agreement authorizing the use of certain town roadways for the charity bike ride event, the Ride for Mental Health, to be held June 24, 2023 and June 25, 2023. Certificate of insurance, liability insurance. That's a little redundant there. Certificate of liability insurance, take out the certificate, naming the town of Rochester as an additional insured party has been presented, and there's a copy of it in your packet. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
They have done this every year for as long as I've been in office. Before, they do a wonderful job. It's a 40 or 50 mile bike race. Heavy in parentheses, is more about achieving it rather than a race. They do very little in our actual town. They're on Burn Road in High Falls for a portion of it. And that's the only place in town that they're actually on. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next is the call for abrasive sand bids. We do this resolution every 2 years. The town board requests the town clerk post advertisement seeking sealed bids for abrasive screen sand for winter road use. Specifications of bids are available at the town clerk office and on www.townofrochester.ny.gov. Bids are due on or before Wednesday, May 31, 2022 at 11 a.m. at the office of the town of Rochester clerk. P.O. Box 65, 50 Scenic Road, Accord, New York, 12404. Well, they will be opened and read aloud. The non-collusion form and certified testing results shall be included as part of the bid package. The town board has the right to reject any and all bids. The specifications are the sand shall be hard with 100% passing a 3/8" screen, not more than 15% passing a number 50 mesh, and not more than 4% passing a number 200 mesh. It must be readily usable in spreading equipment. That's industry standard. For those who are wondering where those come from. Certified testing results shall be submitted as a part of the bid package. Bid prices shall be priced per ton. Variations will not be accepted. The bidder's attention is called to the fact that if scales are not available at plant site, the bidder must state conversion factor weight per cubic yard on a bid conversion sheet. Sand is to be made available for pickup by trucks designated by Town of Rochester authorized entities and operated by authorized personnel. Bids shall be guaranteed valid for a period of 2 years from July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2020. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have cleared this all with the highway superintendent. This is the exact same specs that we put out in 2021. At that time, we used to do it every year. We've since moved to the 2 years. Beyond that seems to be too much because then the vendors are locked into a price for more than 2 years. So 2 years seems to be a comfortable level for the vendors who have them. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Kate, I did not make a spec sheet, but you can just cut and paste it out of an email or if you'd like.
It's fine.
We have a request from the Friends of Historic Rochester. On request of the Friends of Historic Rochester, the Town of Rochester Town Board agrees to co-sponsor the Friends of Historic Rochester Heritage Day be held, I have the right date,
Yes.
October 7, 2023, and authorizes the use of the Harold Lipton Community Center, the Town Hall, Town Park facilities and properties. The Town Board further authorizes the Town Supervisor to utilize the town insurance policy as an additional insured policy for the purposes of the closure of Main Street Accord from Scenic Road to Granite Road for the event at no additional cost to the town, provided a certificate of insurance is received from all vendors and or organizations who will be utilizing the closed road. The town clerk, the recreation director, and the town supervisor shall coordinate with the Friends of Historic Rochester.
I'll make that motion.
Second. We're very happy to do this. It's been a very great success the last 2 years since it revitalized and look forward to doing it. So, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for all the work you do. Next, we have requests for an electrical inspector designation. On request of the building department, the Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the addition of Logan Millington, LM Electric and Consulting Corp., 26 Warren Street, number 2, Marlboro, New York, to the list of Town of Rochester third-party electrical inspectors.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, any questions or discussion? He submitted all his certifications. He meets our requirements. In favor? Aye. Opposed? Next, this is a request from Code Enforcement. On request of Code Enforcement Officer Davis, Town of Rochester Town Board authorized the town supervisor to seek quotes for, it should say pavement striping of the Harold Lipton Community Center, and I have added the Town Justice Court parking lots subject to the town procurement policy. Somebody want to make a motion for discussion? Second? Okay, so Mr. Davis provided this hand sketch of a handicap parking area for accessible is the proper term, my apologies, for this area in front. I said, well, if we're gonna do that, let's do the whole parking lot. And then that got me thinking, well, we really need to do the court as well. We did not budget for this. I don't know what it will cost. I will go out and start securing quotes. If it find that we need to go to bids, we'll do that. If it's too much, maybe we should start with this and hold off on the court. We also may want to hold off on the court until the construction is finished there, too, so, which probably won't be until August. So I put it as a resolution. It probably should have just been a discussion item. We don't have to take any action tonight. If you guys want to just verbally authorize me to go out and get quotes, I can do that and start. But before we expend it, I'd have to come back because we need a budget for it.
No, we need to strike up the park.
I think we should also include the municipal lot for if, depending on what we do with municipal lot, we do designated spots for overnight parking with permits, that we have those already. We can easily pre-assign those with signs. And
We would have to repay that though first, I think.
Is it gravel out there?
It's a very broken kind of pavement. It's not in good shape, so,
Fair enough.
yeah.
I
mean-
figured while they were here.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get
Is
it.
it, I couldn't imagine it being terribly expensive. to do it, though.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I'm gonna call
yeah, the
the,
paint, and, because I know that the town court, they get a little cattywampus out there sometimes. They get a bunch of-
yeah, well, that's why we want to, and we'll lay it out to the smartest way of doing it. And we, we need to make sure that the area going to the ramp is marked as accessible and no parking area.
Yeah.
This started with, the building inspector saying, we really need to have a accessible space here designated. And he's not wrong. So he drew this out. But if we're gonna do this much, we might as well at least finish this. So what I'll do is I'll try to get each project bid separately, let them know that if they can be combined into one pricing, maybe it's cheaper, but what I'll do is go out and just, there are some local contractors who do this for a living. I'll start with them and see what the estimates are. If it rises to the level that we have to do sealed bids, then I'll come back with a proposal and we'll do sealed bids.
Did we ever put the parking bumpers out in front of the annex out there?
No, we didn't really budget for that either, so we could sort of do that at the same time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, you gotta.
We need them here too,
Yeah.
because nobody has ever driven into the columns, but all it takes is one person slipping their foot off the brake and they're into the column. So
And you don't think it can be done in-house?
we don't have the ability to.
Well, Harry was at the town hall, that's why I'm curious.
It's not.
Well, no, I feel like if they put, like, you measure everything and do it.
We don't have the, they have the machine. We don't have that. I know Harry has done the town hall in the accessible area and done a good job, but it's with a can of spray paint. I think to do a whole parking lot, we can afford to have a professional come.
It'll be interesting to see what it costs, because I can't imagine.
We didn't think a bathroom was gonna cost $100,000 either.
Yeah,
Correct.
I was thinking if you purchased a little machine that would paint it.
we get the guys from the Little League field to do the striping on the field down there, they do it.
Let's get quotes. Maybe we'll get somebody, fly by night painter.
Really gotta have the insurance.
Sure, fly by night.
Okay, next, you have been supplied an email for the Peace Officer Training Academy request. To clarify, this does require town board approval, not town supervisor approval, because it is utilizing our facilities. Constable Miller is gracious enough to do his services. He used to do it at no charge. He is now doing it as a paid employee of the town. The people attending are paying a fee to attend the academy. And the town is gaining that revenue. But it is using the town facilities. So on request of Constable Miller, Town of Rochester Town Board authorized the sponsorship of a Peace Officer Training Academy, allowing Constable Miller the ability to schedule academy training with a minimum of 7 recruits to begin on May 22nd through July 2nd, 2023, at no cost to the town except compensation for Constable Miller at his hourly rate of employment. And further, 2 Town of Rochester constables will also be participating in the training academy. And that is at no cost.
I can make that motion.
A second.
Discussion?
I just want to note for the record or for anyone out there that it is a decent amount. There's 12 to 20 participants normally in this class, and we get $2,650 per participant for the town in revenue. So, well, yes, we're paying Rich for the days that he's doing it. It is well outweighed by how much revenue comes into the town for the class.
And we have gained constables who have taken this class, have then become introduced to the town of Rochester, and out of this class have expressed interest in becoming constables with the town.
What
Also,
building is this gonna be at?
Probably at the courthouse, but we will work with Rich to. we
Let's
will-
say, did
yeah.
you see where? And
It will be probably very, but we will do what we did last time and work our way through. Sometimes it may be here, sometimes it may be at the courthouse. The bulk will probably be at the courthouse. And to clarify, we do not have a police force. We have a peace officer department. So to clarify.
Also, this training that Rich does pulls people from far and wide. There's really not another opportunity for folks from all over Ulster, Dutchess counties, as far north as Greene County. Matter of fact, before we did the last one, a lot of peace officers around the Hudson Valley were out of compliance because they had no resource to get this training, anything that was reasonable. So again, it's a win-win all the way
The
around.
class is accredited by the New York State Department of Criminal Justice. Constable Miller is a certified trainer on their roster, which is why he applies to the state to be allowed to give this class or classes, as the case may be. They then decide whether he is allowed to do it, and then he comes to us and asks for the facility. It is a great service and we appreciate it. Which is why I insisted that he at least be paid for it. He at first refused that even. So we thank him for his dedication.
He does an excellent job with it.
Yes, he
Really,
does.
really quality stuff.
I've sat in on a few of them myself on some of the trainings, and he is an excellent.
Just curious, why 7? Why not have a lower?
That is the number essentially. I'm not sure that dollar amount is the exact amount because in past it's been in the thousands, but I believe the 7 was the number that he used last time. I carried it over. I don't know if it's a dollar related thing or if the state requires 7. That number came from him last.
So it was some of the training materials themselves.
It may be. I honestly don't know the answer, Michael, and I did not speak to him to that number, but that was the number he provided me last
Sounds like
time.
it's not a problem.
Yeah, we do. I don't know that we're gonna have 20, but we get quite a few from neighboring areas.
Can we get a list of the agenda for that? You said we can attend potentially if possible. I'd like to see the schedule.
Sure. If you want, feel free to reach out
Yeah,
directly
He'd
to him.
love to have.
He'd love to have anybody from.
I don't know if I can make the whole thing.
Although be careful when they do the taser training if he decides if he wants to
I'm
use
not
you.
Town doesn't need that.
Okay, thank you for all the discussion on this. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Rich, you're probably listening, but I will contact you to let you know the approval. Next, I have circulated an application for a new constable, so appointment of employee. Town of Rochester Town Board appoints, it is Sheilyn Duran Picon to the part, and my apologies if I pronounced it incorrect, to the part-time probationary provisional position of constable at a rate of $16 per hour on an as-needed, as-available basis. Such employment to begin upon New York State DCJS certification and subject to acceptance of the appointment by Ulster County person.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. It will be a little time before she completes the training that is required to be certified by DCJS. But by us doing this process, it will speed up the process on their end, which is why we're doing this. She will be a couple months before she becomes available for employment due to the training required. So just to make you aware. And she will be replacing the constable who resigned. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay. Next, I'll make the resolution and we'll do it for discussion and then I will explain. Establishment of working hours. Town of Rochester Town Board establishes the working hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. for constables serving in the capacity of Justice Court Security on a Monday through Thursday basis. The constables shall remain at work so long as any town court personnel remain in the building, and the 4 p.m. ending time shall be extended on an as-needed basis when required. The town supervisor is further requested to seek voluntary agreement by the constables working these shifts to allow the town to apply the one employee shift exemption under section 162 of the New York State labor law regarding guidelines for meal periods. I'll make the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, so why we're doing this. They are currently scheduled from 9. The Justice Court opens at 9 a.m. The clerks are arriving before that. It was requested, some of our constables come at 8:30, some come in right before that. It was requested that they come in half hour before the opening time of the court to check the security, check the cameras are working. Some of them come not in uniform. They choose to change into uniform there at the site. The additional half hour for 4 days amounts to about $35 a week cost to the town. I think it's the right thing to do. Bear in mind, we do establish the hours of the constables when they are working in court security because they are working for the town board as employees of the town court. They are serving as security in lieu of us hiring private security. So we establish the hours that they work. I'm asking that we establish them to be 8:30 to 4. The second part was brought to my attention. I was aware of it. Under New York State labor law, anybody who works greater than 6 hours must be given a half-hour meal break. It can be unpaid. However, there is an exemption, and I included the labor law in your packet, for a one employee shift position, which is the situation for these constables, where they can eat at their position. They remain on the clock. They have been doing this all along since we haven't started this process 8-10 years ago. None of them have ever brought it to my attention. It was brought to my attention by a resident that we were in violation. I was aware of it, but because they had never had an issue with it, I had not addressed it. So now I'm asking that we address it. Constable Miller informally polled each constable and they have agreed to it. What I would do is if we adopt this resolution, I will create a form that I will have each constable who works the security sign indicating their agreement to operate and to waive their requirement for their ability for a lunch.
Is there a reason they can't take a lunch period when the court clerks?
The court don't take a lunch period either. The justice, and I have told the justices, we do not set the justice court's hours, they do. I have told them that they are required to take a meal after 6 hours. They don't. They remain there, they remain open. So
Do we have them sign a waiver also? Because then we should.
that is up to the justices because they work at the direction of the justices.
Even though us as employers can be liable,
Yes.
we can't have them do it.
They are clerk to justice, they are exempt employees, they work directly for the justices. We don't have any say over their hours of operation. We only have say over the building and the finances. I have made both the clerks and the justices aware of this, and they have not acted accordingly. So I pay them based on the hours they turn in on their fact sheets. And I agree.
I feel like we're asking them, the constable to
Understood.
come in a half hour longer, where if we were able to close for a half hour for them to have.
But the
lunch, I feel
constable,
like-
we had control over. the
Yeah, yeah, and I get that
constable,
we don't.
I understand.
I understand that.
I'm not saying your concern, or B, your thought process is incorrect in any
Yeah,
way.
you're just asking them to stay another half hour and then waive now they're staying longer.
But
waive
I
their
will say,
meal break.
Charlotte, half-hour additional request did not originate from me. That was a request from several of the councils.
Yeah. that's-
Because
I get it.
some are coming in at 8:30, some are coming in at 9. I wanted to make it universal, so they all come in at the same time. So we have a
Yeah, I just worked
prescribed
with
set
several
hours.
businesses that did lunch waivers and it just was never an ideal situation for employees, so that's why.
The clerks apparently do not wish to do it either. And I can provide the waiver forms that we do get, or that we create to the justices, and ask them if they want to have them sign them, but we can't mandate it. Because we don't control those.
And they wouldn't have to close if we don't have a constable available for a half hour for them to have.
They can lock the door and stay there if they want to. And I've made that aware too, that occasionally on a day we are unable to have coverage. And they have called me and said, hey, we don't have a constable. I said, well, then close the door that day. Don't be open to the public if that's the case, but
I just myself get very angry, so I wouldn't worry about people eating lunch, so.
they,
If the
been an
constables were
ongoing-
in agreement, I'm fine with it, I was just.
the clerks has been an ongoing thing for 3 years at least. Every year I remind them, when I ask them to set their hours of operation and the hours of operation are set by the department heads, who are, the clerk is the department head over the town clerks. The highway department is the highway superintendent is the department head over the highway employees. The justices are over the clerks. We are responsible for the constable.
And did we have Rich survey the constables that they're available at 8:30 to be there for the majority for their shift?
I did not ask him, but he is the one who approached me to ask
About the 8:30?
about this,
Okay.
making it consistent.
Because I
So-
know a lot of CO, our constables are COs, and they
Yeah.
come after their shift, so I don't want them.
No, he approached me on the first part, the second part of my issue.
Okay.
About the lunch break. Because I decided if we're going to do this, that we
Fair enough.
So, any further questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay, moving into discussion items. The first I put on there because some other supervisors were emailing, circulating around via the Supervisors Association, asking about a new law that the governor said is effective in December. I spoke with Kate. The fee, the license fee is established by New York State. When I put this on, I did not know that, and apparently some of the other supervisors didn't either, because they were asking what they can charge. Kate came back and said the fee is $25. What it is somebody can petition. We used to have to make somebody a marriage officer in one day to be able to allow to perform a ceremony if they were a lay person. And Kate, maybe you can explain the law better than I can, but
You're explaining it, right? Basically, this is in place for somebody that doesn't want to become ordained, whether it's a religious preference or whatnot. If we were to, the town board was to make someone a marriage officer for that day, they have to live in the town. So this gives a little more room for an out-of-towner to come in, and if they want to perform a wedding for a friend. There is a series of I don't know what I was just gonna say, but there is a certain protocol that they have to follow in order to qualify for it. And it is just for one day, it has to be for a specific wedding. They have to actually show me the marriage license that, no, this is taking place and it has to be in town. And there is a state fee of $25 that does stay within.
So there is no further discussion needed. But when I put it on the agenda on Monday, I thought there was, so.
So we're allowed to do this and.
It's required in the.
It's
We have
required.
to do this.
And it would affect,
And it
you know
all goes through Kate. It doesn't go through the town board at all. They give an
The
application.
reason I
to
put it
Kate.
on the agenda is I didn't, know if we had to establish a fee, and that was the question that was circulating among the supervisors. But then Kate was able to answer that now the fee is set by New York State. We get to keep it.
Yes.
So money comes to us for a change instead of going to the state. Not many things do, but that one does. So thank you, Kate, for that information. Thank you, Mary Lou, for looking into it as well. The Agricultural Advisory Committee, we had great success. You want to put on the 11th, meeting of the 11th, executive session to discuss the candidates and select? Okay, that's why it's on there, is just what's our next steps. So I will do that. Courthouse construction, Mary Lou did review the change agreement and concurred with the language. The question that Aaron had about, because of the dollar amount, are we okay to do it? And Mary Lou, if you want to answer for it.
Yes, was something unforeseen, so we couldn't put it in the bid, and we can absolutely do it. I know it's a big dollar amount, but we are allowed to add that as a change order because of the conditions that were found. Matter of fact, a few years ago, there was a proposal by one, I don't know if it was an assemblyman or a senator. And at that point, it was for the state to not be able to do over a 100% increase. And we're not anywhere near that, but that did not go anywhere even at 100%. So
We're at
You were
about a
fine.
50% increase.
Yeah.
With that being said, they are ahead of schedule. They have achieved the next payment point. So I am asking you guys to authorize this voucher. I will pass around with your signature and brought the color pens so you can sign in your appropriate color. No resolution needed. It will be in the abstract as a prepayment, but it's just you guys approving the voucher. There is the invoice and then the written documentation. It was upon the inspection at a certain point, and they achieved that yesterday. So rather than holding them off till the end of the month, to get them. Next, we have a request from the assessor. I emailed this to you. I want to just pass it around though. For the assessor's aid to attend a training conference. There you go, Michael. You got it. So to start with, the additional 125, which is for our assessor's aid to join and become a NYSAA member, which is the New York State Assessors Association. I approved that under our membership fees. So that has been paid. So he is asking for approval for her, and this was not budgeted, for her to attend this July 17 and 18 training at Cornell University. The class is $260. If she was not a member, it would be $425. So the 125 is already going to pay off. The cost of the hotel would be $134 a night. It would require 2 nights stay. It's only in our budget, not in our budget, because we have not, our assessors have not normally done this for the aides. We do allow and pay for clerks to go to trainings, court clerks to go to trainings. I think we should prove this. It's only going to help us in the process of what we do and how we serve the public. So I'd like to make does anybody want to discuss it before we make a resolution, or does anybody have any feelings one way or the other?
No, I think if our employees wanted training to do the job better and cost a couple $100, it's great.
So I make a motion that the town board authorize the assessor's aide to attend the July 17 and July 18, 2023 New York State Assessors Association Cornell seminar. And to pay the cost of class, hotel, and travel mileage.
I'll make that one.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay, thank you very much. I'll let Jeremy know. Now we talked about the municipal problem. So I have done a little research on the municipal parking lot. I brought minutes from 2011. Apologies for the formatting. Our website does not format things particularly well.
Not yet.
So apologies for the apparent waste of paper.
I could have printed it in the document. So it would be more easy.
I know, it was a last minute thing. That's a copy for Aaron, but if you want to refer, well, we're talking about Kate.
How the heck was I Dunbar in 2011? It says Dunbar Dunbar.
Here you go. I don't know. So this is 3 consecutive months of minutes. And at that time, the entire month of minutes was all kept in one document. And Mary Lou can fill in some of the gaps on this. I do apparently have an extra one of that one. 6 of that. So what you have in front of you is the July town board minutes, the August 2011 town board minutes, and the September 2000 minutes. So in July, if you look at page 6 at the bottom, it starts with the word municipal parking lot. Supervisor Chipman asked the board to review a proposed law on the municipal parking lot, and it goes on to state the law. Members of the board have made, they will review the proposed local law and give their recommendations and changes, and a date for a public hearing will be set at the August town board meeting. So that is what happened in July. It states that no parking allowed in a municipally owned parking lot between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless the person utilizing the vehicle is attending a town-sponsored meeting or event at the location, or has obtained the prior written permission of the town supervisor due to attendance at an event that will run outside of the above hours. It then goes on to the violations, which would be enforceable by the court. For the first violation of this law, there should be a fine of $100. For a second violation, fine of $200. For third or subsequent violation of fee, fine of $300. Section 3, should a vehicle be parked in a municipal parking lot for a period of time of 24 hours or more without the prior written permission of the town supervisor, or be parked in such a way as to obstruct the flow of traffic through a municipally owned parking lot, the vehicle may be towed at the sole cost and expense of the vehicle's owner. Section 2, and this is the important section, this law shall become effective upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State. So that is the July meeting. In August, excuse me, on page four.
On the 4th page.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the August regular meeting. The local law was proposed, local law 1 of 2011, set to be heard on August 25th, 2011 at the town hall. And the town clerk authorizing advertising, excuse me. Then if you continue to the workshop meeting, the public hearing is presented. It is at the bottom of the next page. It is made open to the public. Comments were made through Councilwoman Mialescu with a list of 9 questions that were asked. The public hearing was closed. The public hearing was then, if you go further into the meeting minutes, actually, I'm sorry, there is nothing more in those meeting minutes in August. So that was the August 25th meeting. Now moving to September 25th, excuse me, September 2011, September 1st. Under new business, page 3. A motion was made by Councilman Salente, seconded by Councilwoman Archer, that the local law was adopted. It was approved 5-0. Again, section 2, the law becomes effective on filing in the office of the Secretary of State. That never happened.
And Mike, can I just step in here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that section is in every one of your local laws because that's New York State municipal home rule law. That a law has to be filed with the Secretary of State. Also, to be effective, it must be filed within 20 days of passage. I even looked to see if they filed it by City of Rochester by mistake, because sometimes we do have mistake, between the town and the city. It is not filed under the City of Rochester. So I went back and I kind of did a deep dive into this because it was really bothering me that it wasn't filed. I'm not sure who wrote the law. I have laws on my computer from 2010 forward. I have parking laws about parking on streets and things. I do not have that law. So someone else must have written it and prepared it. Back at that time, it used to be that the attorney also had to sign off on every law, but that changed just before this in 2011. And I'll say, I think at that time, I may have been doing the filing of laws and the clerk took it over a few years later. So that's why I was concerned. I'm like, did I not file a law? And I see that I was not at the meeting where it was passed. You can all take 3 guesses as to where I was, and your first guess will be correct. Because I went back, thought maybe I was driving my kid to college. You know where I was. I was on a family vacation. And I don't have any record in my emails or on I went back to all my backup drives of ever having received it for filing. So I just couldn't imagine that, because I don't think we've ever missed filing a local law. And 3 days before this local law was Hurricane Irene. So I am totally guessing here. And the only thing that comes to mind is they had the meeting. They said, great, we'll give this to Mary Lou when she gets back. And then they went into, let's clean up the town and get everybody back in their houses and get these trees off, whatever. And it just wasn't done. That is a total guess. But I mean, I was going back and looking at everything about that time. So bottom line is, it was not filed. It was not filed within 20 days. So it is not effective. The public hearing was almost 12 years ago. So I am hesitant to say just reapprove it and file it. It might hold up, but there also might be a question of, hey, that town board, none of these people are even on the town board to be familiar to pass it. There are some provisions in there you might want to clarify and discuss. My suggestion is that you do just that. Clarify, discuss what exactly what you want that law to say, have a new public hearing, pass a local law, and get it filed.
So I would recommend, given that I know Councilwoman Nowen has some strong feelings and opinions on the parking lot and how we move forward, I would propose that we put this on our agenda for May 11th, our workshop meeting, and have further discussion. Decide if we choose to move forward with this local law, a different local law, what our goals are. But the bottom line is we cannot enforce the law that does not exist. So we are not breaking any laws currently.
Yeah, and I offer what I offered by a way of potential explanation. I really don't know what happened, and it's unfortunate, but mistakes unfortunately happen, and that was a time that I was away and there was a public emergency. That's my guess. Is it just fell by the wayside. Very unusual.
And it took some time in searching to find process because we were not sure exactly when we're going here. I would also say though, bear in mind, as we said earlier, we do not have a police force. We have a constabulary who are peace officers who do not regularly have patrols, who have never regularly had patrols unless specifically called for by the board or the supervisor. So, and this is not a law that I suspect the sheriff or the state police is going to enforce. So I bring this point up just to consider for when we have our discussion is, if we adopt a local law like this, how will it be enforced? Who will be enforcing it? And where we go from there. So let's think about it. Let's have further conversation about it. Let's figure out what we should do.
Yeah, so I think, speaking for myself, the fact that this went through the process, I agree with Mary Lou, I don't think we should file it. The fact that we went through the process, it went through public comment, we should honor that and consider this, and I think we should revise it and come up with our own law that makes sense. Because I read the law, and I do think there's things that can be clarified. I think there's things that we may want to change. It was done a while ago, but I do think, we should behave as though that was a law that was put in place for a reason, because they put it in the process, and we should strive to correct the issue that happened. In the meantime, should we consider a moratorium, for lack of a better word, on parking in the municipal lot? Should we just say nobody's going to have permission? Should we consider putting up the parking signs, at least in a certain step? Or what do we want to do?
Well, we're going to talk about this next Thursday.
Okay.
I say, let's wait till Councilwoman Allen is here and can weigh in.
Right, and
Let's enact something.
Okay.
And I would mention, I don't know how many people do use that lot, but I do know when the planning board granted some of the approvals for things along Main Street there, they did take into consideration that these businesses, patrons would be able to park in the municipal lot.
But the no parking would be after those.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you just said no parking. If you say, yeah, after
Oh,
dusk
yeah,
or whatever
Sure.
hours, that's different. Okay, I apologize, I misunderstood.
I agree with Michael that we should, even though this isn't technically in effect, we should act as if it is, and we're updating this portion of our law. Just using it as a baseline and where to go. I do think that there are some things that need to be tweaked in there, and I also agree that the moratorium is the only word I can think of too, that until we solve this, that there are no overnight parking signs in there, and it does state except for approval by the supervisor. So I'm gonna request that we don't allow anyone until we have this.
So if we're doing a
Result.
moratorium, it has to be done as a local law, and so we can't do that.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you, like,
Just by
you
policy.
not, yeah, just by policy, can you just not allow, like, if anyone.
Here's my recommendation. You need something in order to do that. So I definitely understand what you're both saying, and I think it's a very good point. So what I would recommend It's not going to have the force of law, but I would recommend that you take the proposed law, local law number 1 from 2011, and set that forth as guidelines for the municipal parking lots until such time as you pass a local law. And at least then you have guidelines, you can have your signs up and things. If you issue a parking ticket, it's not going to hold up because there's not a law. But you can at least have some guidelines in there.
Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's no law in the book, so it's not enforceable. So what are we trying to do? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
We're trying to correct the mistake that was made from the law not being filed. So until we have an actual law on the books that has gone through public hearing and filed properly, me and Michael, and you can tell me if this isn't what you're saying, we're saying that we should have something in effect until that happens. Since this was passed by a board that was voted by this community and already went through public comment, even though it was misfiled, that's not, we should still honor
Okay,
that
there.
happened.
Right, well, you can't honor it as a law. You can't
You know,
enforce
as a
it.
law, but that there should be
But
guidelines.
you could
protect the
set it
law.
forth, hi, Aaron, as guidelines.
So it's fair enough, it's guidelines. So if somebody parks there tonight,
I mean, it's hold up, we don't have parking tickets for the constables anyway, it's, I think. it's
that's what I'm saying, it would be
principle of the matter.
strictly ceremonial.
Well, I think it's the principle of the fact that a mistake was made, we're trying to correct it. We're gonna put a guideline in as a placeholder right now to show that we are correcting this issue that happened. And to honor the wishes of this board that voted and the public that commented on this when this happened. The fact that it wasn't technically in effect for the past 12 years isn't on anyone here, like it was a mistake that happened in the filing, but we know that this was supposed to be a law, so we should act as if with this as the guidelines that it is, even though there's no legal reason that it's a law right now, there should still be guidelines until we can solve the issue. And the matter, how this procedure was supposed to be followed in this law should be followed until we have the law, a new law actually.
No, I 100% agree that when we start to talk about this at our meeting on the 11th, we should absolutely take public comment, the law, the spirit in which it was intended and interpreted as this board. But for the next 7 days, we're gonna act ceremonially that there's a law in the books that isn't. I mean,
So I don't think we need to do that. I think it would be great if we could just agree that we're not gonna give anyone permission to park over. I don't think we need to go to the
Yeah, it doesn't
extent.
have to go to the
I-
extent.
So I can clarify that? I am not giving anybody permission to park overnight.
Okay, fair enough.
But
That's
people,
and they're-
if people
and-
park there, they are not in violation.
Right, we just don't want any new people allowed to park there until we have this law sorted out and it gets.
Right,
on
but the
books,
point is,
what we're
people
saying.
don't need permission to park there overnight.
Right.
Right.
Technically,
No,
but
there's no law.
They're-
I understand they're not legally binding, but it still says it somewhere in our minutes, it still says it on the sign, so until we have it actually legally found that that happens, I don't think we should make a practice of allowing any more parking. to
But
happen
nobody's
there.
allowing anybody to park there overnight now.
People have been approved in the past to park
In the
there.
past,
overnight.
but not
I'm
now.
saying- but I'm just
So
making
we-
sure it continues.
So we all agree.
So.
So we don't.
Allow me, because I have not allowed anybody by permission to park there, contrary to statements that have been made. In months. So, you saw a gentleman walked in tonight and asked me for permission, and I said, I can't give that to you until we have further conversation. So I am not giving anybody permission, nor have I given anybody permission to park over there overnight. But we also, we have no mechanism to police it, to enforce it. So we don't need a policy. I'm not giving anybody permission to park.
So then that's fine, then we have the verbal
Yeah,
agreement that
yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
But if somebody
That's
parks
also
there
fine.
overnight, they are not in violation. I just want to
Right,
clarify.
which is understood, it's not a legally
Yeah.
bound law right now, and I fully understand that, I'm just saying based off the principle that this should have been in effect, that we should not, until we have it
Right.
sorted out, allow anyone else to have permission
Yeah.
who hadn't been, like, even the people who were previously given permission, no one should be allowed to park there for right now.
No, and only one person was given permission, and that is, so, but also, I think we have to have further discussion about this whole thing about the parking lot itself, rather than just starting with the assumption that the law that was presented is, we can have it as a starting point, but as you saw, there were a whole host of questions that went unanswered in that. And we have to make, I believe, if we're going to adopt that law, we have to be able to answer those questions.
Yeah,
No, I
I
think we
agree.
need to
with that.
workshop it also. I don't think that we should adopt, I'm just saying it's a starting, like, that is a starting place.
Oh,
for
it's a
us to
starting-
Start changing it as if that was already law, that's where we should start.
Yeah, just as,
Just as we would with any other code in our.
I mean, if you look at the minutes, you will see that I was at those meetings. I remember the dialogues and the conversation. I remember what was. Yeah. So,
Welcome, Aaron.
but I think we are a different board. We are now the elected board, and it is up to us to decide how it's put into effect and if it's put into effect. Things have changed within the community.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
So,
I agree.
okay. I just want to be clear, because there's been a lot of statements made that are not 100% factual. That's why I went to the minutes. And so. Okay, we have received a request from a circus who used to perform in Las Vegas until the pandemic, and they have turned into a traveling circus now. Originally, they were approached by Mr. Palmer from the Eckerd Speedway about doing it there. They were approached to do it they came back that they could do it in July 4th weekend. Nowhere near enough time for him to go through the process of getting a special events permit. This wasn't going to happen. We resolved that. The owner of the circus directly reached out to me, both by email, well, first by phone, and then this was his follow-up email. He would really like to perform in the town. Not necessarily that it has to be at the Eckerd Speedway. He would just like to. Now we have for lack of the correct terminology, and my apologies, I could go get the correct terminology, it's mass gathering permit as it's colloquial known. Which,
We have a public assembly permit.
public assembly. Thank you, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
For 1,500 people or greater, an event. His event is approximately 500 to 750 people. However, they would do 2 to 3 performances within the 2 to 3 day period that they were in town. He, on his own, went and did research of our code and found that and reached out to me and said, hey, can I approach you guys directly about doing this? I don't like the idea in principle. It'd be something great. I don't know in practicality how we would do it, where we would do it, if we would be the sponsor of it. I'm bringing it to you to sort of brainstorm and say, what do you think? Should I go back to them and say, yeah, we're maybe interested? They could do either early July or early September. The September dates, the Speedway is not available because Mr. Palmer is closing the racetrack down for a 2-week period due to a vacation. So we would have to identify another location. Certainly there are other locations within the town where something like this could occur. The question is, would we as a town board want to pursue sponsorship of this? Would we want to try to find an outside organization to pursue sponsorship of some event like this? Or do we tell them thanks, but no thanks, and maybe some other time? I wanted feedback because and I will say, I being in the industry, I did a little checking of the entity, and they are a legitimate entity. They were very well established in Vegas. The personnel involved, the lighting designer, the vendors that they're using are top of the line professional vendors, top of the line professional people that would not be involved with a fly-by-night organization. So I wanted to bounce it off you guys and see what you think.
Is it just like them doing aerial stuff, or is it like they bring food vendors, they bring, like, it's just like a whole traveling gang?
There is a rider, I think I forwarded, there's a flyer, I forwarded you this email, in your email yesterday,
Yeah, there's
along
links.
with the links. It's primary aerial stuff.
It's not animals or
Not
anything
animal,
like that.
there is no animal.
That's-
That was the first question I asked. we
Can
do.
I just comment on a few things?
Sure.
Okay, so for all of you folks to take a look, it's chapter 56 of our code is public assemblies. And a public assembly, well, first of all, an assembly is gathering, collecting, congregating, forum, or conclave of persons at any one time in any one place with or without the levy of an admission fee. And then it says if you're going to have over in excess of 1,500 people at an assembly, you have to come and get this permit. There's some exceptions for governments, schools, fire departments having an event. So, you know, the 1,500 people is at one place at one time. But who knows? Maybe they'll have 1,500 people. I don't know about that. I don't think it's something we can just tell them no to. There's two different issues. Mike's issue of maybe we help them find a place, because basically this is kind of cool. I think I want to go. Do we help them find a place? Maybe the school's the place. And then maybe they don't need anything if they make it a school
Well, they
fundraiser or
don't
something.
send the schools exempt. They
Right,
don't
if it's for like a fundraiser revenue for the school. So if they paid them to do it, maybe it's different. But they have the right to apply if they find a place. Chapter 56 gives a long laundry list of what they need to present to the town board for us to review in order to grant the permit. And I know we've never done one, but you know, a similar thing happens in Rosendale for the Pickle Fest that they have every year, or for the street festival. They're much bigger. And for a lot of the festivals they have there. So it's kind of the same process that you'd be going for. You have to make sure they have a lot of things to present. And then if they present everything, you folks have a lot of things you have to do to make sure that they have talked to the police, that the health department's okay with it, etc. A lot of things there. So it's not, you can't just in the first instance say no if they present a proper application. So,
Yeah.
so Mike, when
just
you're
doing kind
saying
of a
if
fact
we're
finding.
interested, maybe what you meant is if the town board is interested in assisting, not if the town board's just saying, no, you can't come to our town.
Well, no, so my question was, Mary Lou, if it's a town-sponsored event, then all those criteria do not come into play. So my question is, my question, that way I posed it, was meant to say, do we want to consider being the sponsor of this event? That's question one. Question two, if we say, no, we don't want to, do I go back to this guy and say, hey, we can maybe help you find a venue, then the process is on you to apply, or whoever is going to sponsor it? Or do I simply say, as Mary Lou said, I'll put you in contact with the school, go look at the school and do it there, and then there's no permit necessary to stuff at the school. So the question was, do we want to sponsor this event, or do we want to assist? The saying no wasn't saying no to it happening. Yes or no.
Yeah.
Saying no was more about saying, no, we're not interested in being involved in it. You're welcome to find your own place and present to us if you want. The question was more, do we want to be involved in the process in either sponsoring it or attempting to find a location? Or do we simply just want to say, you're welcome to do it on your own if you choose to? I don't think he's going to without some assistance, because I feel like you know, he started this dialogue because Gary approached him. He actually did come look at the Speedway and thought this would be a great location. But the July just was not, it wasn't gonna happen. 2 months was just not enough time for the approval process.
I think we should suggest to him to talk, to get in contact with the school about
Okay.
the September dates or to find another location.
Yeah.
To apply for then, so that he has enough time for us to review
Okay.
everything.
But we don't.
I don't
yeah.
think that we should take on that liability or the cost of the presenter. We have to supply them with, it says fresh fruit, snacks and bottled water. And ice. There's a lot in this that we're supposed, the presenter is supposed to supply them with, so I don't think we should take that on now. If it's something we want to do in the future, we can budget for it, but I think as an added thing, we shouldn't.
Well, there would be an admittance fee that
Yeah.
we would get a percentage of the admittance fee. They would come on a set fee. And there is some risk, obviously, absolutely, there's some
Yeah.
risk.
There's just a lot that the presenter has to provide according to this here, which I think if we were to do this as a town, I wouldn't want to charge taxpayers a ton to do this.
Understood,
So,
okay.
I don't know, can it be the same day as Heritage Day?
that's what I was thinking. The only way it would work is in
The,
this Heritage Day.
My suggestion would be either the school or, I mean, how many event facilities do we have in the town of Rochester that would probably, you know,
Not really big enough to handle this. The places that come to mind for me is now, Saunderskill,
Yeah.
Kelders. that have- You need bigger flat space.
well, that's what I was thinking, some of our.
We
some of our
couldn't do it
bigger
at the
farms.
town park because of the hills.
Did you say 500?
He's saying, he's estimating 500 people per show. They would do 3 shows over a 2-day period. So they would do 2 shows in one day and 1 show in one day. So the reason he approached me is, you know, when Gary went back to him and said, no, we can't do this. He followed up then with me as the supervisor. He had already read the law. And I did bring to him and said, well, it's 1,500 people. And he said, well, just pointing out that we'd probably be 500 people for 3 shows. He was just questioning, does that equal 1,500 people? Probably not. So
I would say definitely not under our definition of
Yeah.
assembly. In the
Right. So-
same space and
so-
the same time.
So that got me thinking, should we, because if that code doesn't apply, connecting him to another venue doesn't really work either, unless they can have special events already. And a place like Saunderskill Kelders can already have special events. They're not an approved special event facility, but they don't need to be because they have the ability for parking and all those things involved. Most of our special event facilities would not be able to handle, they can handle a wedding of 200 people, but they can't handle volume of this with all the apparatus and everything. But that also got me thinking is just what I presented, does the town itself want to sponsor this as a community event?
Remember a couple of years ago, we talked about the gravel bank on Crum Road. It sets up like a natural amphitheater, you can have hundreds of people.
Yeah. I'll reach back out to him and suggest, you know, I'll try to find a contact at the school. Perhaps I can make that connection for them. It seems like a worthwhile event. It seems, we're hearing over and over again that people don't have anything to do in this town. If we can assist to create an event like this.
You should maybe put them in contact with whoever's running the student government at the high school right now, because one class can take this on as a fundraiser for their fraud, for everything else.
I was gonna go talk to the district clerk and then just go from there, so. Yeah, rather than me picking a particular group, I was just gonna go through them and, you know. see.
So will they have all 4
Not the board
classes?
itself.
It's the entirety of the high school that they run the student government.
No, yeah.
Fundraisers, so that's.
The dates in September, you said.
Well, that's when they have a booking available in the area, because this is a business that I know a little bit about, and, you know, like the stagehands that they were asking for. You know, I would volunteer my time free of charge to do it, and I'm betting I could get, they asked for 4, I could get 4 people who would work for nominal, if not free. that know what they're doing. And that's what I said. And when I investigated it more and found out that it is a very professional organization. It's not just,
Yeah.
you know, hey, I got some tight ropes and let's put on a show. They do this for real for a living, so.
Do
Okay,
we really want to not, I mean, let's connect them with these other people. Do we want to say definitively that we're not interested or?
let me try to connect them with the other people and say, this is why I brought it to you guys to talk. I'm hearing that there's,
This town board is doing a lot right now.
yeah, and I'm okay with that being the answer. I just felt the need to bring this to you guys to talk about because it was a request that came to me and
It'd be great if we could shepherd it into the town and not have to do any work.
What do you think, Kate?
I was thinking Heritage Day too, but.
yeah. So believe me, I already thought about where can I put it. I don't need town property that,
Right.
The hard landing.
Oh, in the solar panel.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Next, we have received a request, another one from American Tower. I emailed you guys the whole thing. This is just the cover letter. We should probably not discuss details of the contract in public. Mary Lou started to look at things and said, how much time do you want me to spend on this? And I said, not a lot at this moment, because I want to get feedback from you. So they are offering two options. Bear in mind that Adam remembers this and Aaron remembers this. I don't think, no, the two of you were not on the board with it. They first started coming to us about 5 years ago with various options, and we wore them down. We kept saying no, because I made a spreadsheet that projected out 20 years, and what they were offering us in lieu of continuing to get rent was going to dry up in most of them in about 10 to 12 years, and we would just get no money in the future. And right now, we probably get in the neighborhood of about $140,000 to $145,000 a year in rental on the cell towers. And the only thing we do is plow the community, the 209 site from 209 to the cell tower when we get 6 inches more or more of snow. That is the only thing we do. And we get $145,000 a year for that. Which is considerable amount of money. So they are offering these two options. I'm not a fan of either one.
This is per cell tower or for all of them? Was that not clear to me?
We probably would have to go to the fine print of the other contracts.
Portion of it?
Yeah. To find out. I only printed the cover page. I didn't print everything else because it was 30 and 40 pages long. Aaron and Adam will remember that we just kept saying no, 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 and every time we said no, they came back with a better offer. We finally agreed we got $30,000 per tower to extend the lease a certain amount of time following the same rental structure. And we are now getting, I believe we are now, because these were negotiated in 2004 and 5 or 3 and 4. So we are to the point that we are getting 50% of their revenue. They probably would rather get more of that revenue.
So let's say no.
Yeah.
No, that's in the past.
I felt obligated to bring it to you guys to see what you said.
What are they asking? They're just like, hey, we'd like you to lower our rent.
Well, so this is what they're asking. They're asking for a one-time signing bonus of $10,000. We don't. They're asking for either a rent reduction, and they'll give us a one-time signing bonus, with a 0% escalation. That's crazy. Or the perpetual easement, they will give us a significant sum of money in exchange for perpetual real estate interest, in which case we will get that money and we will never get another penny from them ever again.
Yeah.
I kind of like getting $145,000 a year.
And I think we should tell them no, see what they come back with.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't say it made sense, Michael. They asked, it's my obligation to present it to you guys to say, it's a contract that we have.
Yeah, what time is it anyway?
I think we're all shaking our heads as to why
Maybe they missed a bunch of
they
zeros.
think we'd even consider.
Oh,
At least is enough, right?
oh no, the
We
lease, we extended it by like another 20 years,
That's what I
but
thought.
we will all
Yeah.
five of us, I think, even you, Charlotte, will probably be passed before that lease ends. What? Yeah, oh yeah, no, this came directly from them. I've had phone conversations with them, and I told them to send me something.
I think our 20-year lease is fine where it is.
We have more than that, I think. We
It's
extended it.
far more than that at this
20
point.
years.
I think we extended it another 25 or 30.
I think we extended it for 30.
Yeah, I believe we extended them both for 30 years in return for a $30,000 flat payment. And all we did was, we just continued. So it's 50% of the gross revenue of what they get. So at Councilman Drabkin's request, I made a 20-year sheet, assuming a 2 to 3% increase year to year, and projected out how much money we were going to continue to raise versus what they were offering. And as I said, it was about 8 to 10 years into the lease, we would have started losing money with what they were offering.
Yeah, no.
So we finally said, okay, you want the lease to be extended, fine, the terms don't change. Sure, we'll take your $30,000 for each tower. So they gave us $60,000 for more years, but the money would never stop. The money continues to come in every month.
Or what they're saying here is, we want to stop that, so.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want, well, they don't like the contract that they negotiated 20 years ago when the cell tower market was very different than it is right now.
Tell them no, tell them to contact us again in January after probably the same, but new officers might be sworn in and we'll tell them no. again.
I'm not even gonna tell them when to contact us. I'm just
Tell them
gonna
no.
say, thank you, but we decided we're not interested.
One thing, me and Michael will at least tell them
A bad idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Bad deal.
Okay. Fair enough.
Trying to have minds.
Next, and I'm glad you're here, Aaron. So the Justice Court report that we submitted, at the last meeting, Justice Laflamme came and spoke. The tape did not work that night. Our apologies. It clearly is working tonight. Town clerk has included that statement in the minutes, so it is on record. The question that I just wanted clarification from the board on, does anyone feel obliged to make a motion to send that to New York State as an addendum to the report? Or does someone feel that they want to rewrite the report one way or the other? And I'm just presenting it as two options of what we can do. The third option is we do nothing.
As one of the two people that did the courthouse audit, I say absolutely not to both of those options. When a report is done by a third party, that we should not be making addendums based on the person who we were doing that report off of. I think that's unethical and not valid for us to do. And I think changing the report, again, based off a request by the person who we were auditing is also unethical and not what we should be doing. If we're being the purview and we have to do this review every year, and we are doing the review based off the questions that are asked. In that review, we reported our answers to those questions that were asked accurately.
Anybody else? I would say I agree with that statement.
Yeah,
I don't feel,
go ahead.
I don't feel the need to amend our report. I thought our report spoke accurately. It did say in the report, and I don't have the exact language in my head, but that we did acknowledge that it has been corrected. But I don't feel the need that we attach a letter of explanation. We are reporting the state of the system at the time. And quite frankly, I don't believe there will be any repercussions from that report my own feeling is, it was something that town didn't even do until I got in office. Nobody even knew it needed to be done, apparently, because I asked Kate when it first was brought to my attention, and they said, I've never heard of this, but it has existed for a number of years, so I don't know what happens with these reports. Do they just go into a file and it's a checkbox of it happened? I don't know. But I think it's our obligation, it's our one chance ability to review the financial documents. We do it, we report back to the state what we have observed, and we move on.
Well, and I also feel like I agree. The only reason why I would want to make any amendments is because I made an error and the date on the cover sheet is wrong. Yeah, that's the only thing I'll approve to change from it.
Which none of us caught. Anyway, so, but otherwise, and nothing, there was no bad faith in anything that was in there. And I think I might be being a little Pollyanna about this, but I also feel like the impact in the end, I think is going to be positive, because there is this idea that, oh, maybe there should be some improvements made, and like we're making plans to have a little bit more planful review next year when it happens, which I think would be good. But I think the impact of it has done what it needs to.
And that Justice Court report document that we use as the basis is just that. It's a guideline, it's a basis. I mean, we answer the questions and that is provided by the court, but that's where we start from. And if we identify something, in this case, it was something that wasn't occurring properly. It was caught out of a question that was asked by me during the monthly payment that is made to the town supervisor from the courts. And out of that dialogue, that corrected the problem. So we identified the problem, we corrected the problem, and we moved on. I don't think it's necessary to address it beyond that. And I agree with you. I think the procedures, now that the open dialogue has been started, will be improved. I don't, if nobody feels the need to make a resolution.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge that a lot of work was put in by Councilwoman Allen, Councilwoman Sneesa. They spent a lot of time doing this. If it was intended to be the voice or the perspective of the courts, then that would be a requirement, but this is an outside audit. Like anything untruthful was said, we've heard the other side of it, that's been reported in town's record. I don't think you said that as part of the report. It's an outside organization looking in and making objective observations about the goings on of the court. And I think, as everyone's pointed out, adjustments have been made, and that was also clear in the comments of this board. So.
Okay. And the statement is included in our minutes and is memorialized in our records. So it is
pull
there.
up even years later.
Which Aaron, I will say, having 20 years worth of minutes on the website in this case was very helpful.
No, I know, exactly.
Okay, moving on. This is more informational than anything else at this point. So the Justice Court has 35 large-sized bankers boxes that are in need of shredding. To do that on essentially home office type shredders, which is what we have in the office, is insanity. No, cannot do that. I
know.
I'm investigating with professional shredding companies. I have talked with a company called Shred-it. They are a nationally known chain. Coincidentally, this was on my radar, and that afternoon, an email, cold call email showed up in my email box, and I reached out to them. We are working on a quote. There's also Iron Mountain, who is local, who does it as well. I've conversed with Kate. If she has any records also at the same time, we can piggyback them together. The one thing Shred-it said is They will come to the location, but they will charge us 2 charges if they go to 2 locations. So potentially we would have to physically get all the records to one spot by us, which is certainly doable. But I'm gonna pursue quotes. We did budget on the court side for some records management shredding. This was not a unknown thing. It's been in discussion for a while. They're actually taking up a large portion of the annex section, just stacked in boxes, and according to the clerks, they can all be shredded.
Yeah, and my understanding is they don't need it recurring, they
The
need
one-
one off, and then potentially then in a few months, they might have another set because they can't get to organizing the records that need to be shredded after these are taking up all the space.
By the way, Adam, can you pass it over to Aaron? Aaron, this was a voucher for the courthouse that has hit the next milestone payment, and the backup is there. So, like I said, more informational, but I will be coming to you probably with some quotes at some point to decide where we go. Don't know if you want to talk about this tonight. We've been talking about this outdoor lighting code for a little while. Conveniently, I opened up the Freeman last week, 2 weeks ago, and there was the town of Ulster doing a lighting one. And went to their website and looked at it, and gee, looks an awful lot like ours. I don't think they copied it. I think it's just lighting is about lighting. Have looked through it. It's not bad. It could use a little tweaking in a few places, but I also downloaded the Rhinebeck one, which I emailed to you, which is a little more detailed. And then the third one, which was the one we were working from, which was a lot more detailed. In hindsight, thinking about it, I'm not sure the lot more detailed is the way to go, only because our code enforcement officer is not a lighting engineer. And trying to enforce something that is so
15,000
technical. Well, you gotta do it on foot candles. It's the only way, because that's how it's reviewed on the anyway. So it's more just to say, think about it. If you think it's worthwhile to talk more about, let's talk about it next Thursday at our workshop meeting. We all are in agreement that we think we need to do something, and town of Ulster actually is doing it as a way of, they have people that are training cameras now on neighbors' properties. So they are doing it as a sort of a way of lowering lighting situations to resolve those issues.
What?
They have neighbor to neighbor disputes, and now people are pointing cameras at other people's properties. So,
They use the little light ones.
yeah, well, that's what they're looking at doing. So. I did speak with Supervisor Quigley at length about it. This was written by their town attorney and one of their town workers.
This is all put together.
Yes, I printed out.
Email Rhinebeck's.
I emailed Rhinebeck. I took Ulster's and Rochesterized it. The only thing I did is wherever it's a town of Ulster, I changed it down to Rochester. So. And, freedom of information policy. Again, borrowed from the town of Ulster, which I found when I was pulling that local law.
I think this is really good. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's
So-
more like transparent.
The background on this is, and I had Mary Lou review this. The background on this is, we have been getting a whole lot of freedom of information requests. Probably in the neighborhood of about 20 or more a week.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
That's all I've been doing over a week is strictly foils all day, every day.
People are foiling for anything and everything. A lot of them are foiling for information as opposed to documents, but you still have to answer them and respond to them, and then they don't like the answer that they get when you say you foil for a document, and we end up with unhappy, argumentative people who think we're hiding something. But you know, the answer is always, if you want information, you need to do the research. Go look at the minutes, go, find, if you want a document, we will provide a document. So I found this, and turns out town of Ulster, quizzed Supervisor Quigley, Town of Ulster adopts this policy every year as part of the organization. Presented it to Mary Lou, and Mary Lou, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You want to tell them what you and I talked about today, so. You're muted.
It's a very good synopsis of the public officers law. You know, the law is of course a little more detailed, which makes it hard to understand for your typical citizen. So I think this is a very good, useful synopsis that the clerk's office can hand out.
Question for you, Mary Lou. If we want to adopt this tonight, substituting the word Rochester for Ulster as a policy, is that legal, or should I wait and do it on the next Thursday on the 11th?
No, you can do that. Well, was it published on the website?
It was not.
So you might want to wait till next Thursday. And I'm sorry, I did tell you there was one thing I wanted to look up on it.
Okay.
And hey, you might know this off the top of your head. If not, I'll look it up between now and next Thursday. In one portion, it talks about the oversized records. So they're beyond the 8.5 by 11 or 14. And they say that the cost of those records will be determined by the town fee schedule.
It's the last page.
Do you remember if the public officers law says that, or does it say actual cost?
I was always under the impression it's actual cost.
Me too. So,
I mean, the
so
town,
let's wait till next week and we can change that for,
if the board's comfortable, we'll look that up, and I will change that language. In not defending it, but the town fee schedule could say actual cost. So they may just reference the town fee schedule, and the town fee schedule may be where it says actual cost. But if it's actual cost, we'll just put actual cost in here. I know in the past when we have had to make copies of maps and things, we would go to Staples, get a copy made, and then present them. So, but otherwise, I think it's very well done. And
I do think for transparency, we should wait until
Okay.
next week and allow this to be posted, so if anyone wants to.
I will rewrite it.
Something they can email Kate or make a comment at Kate's office about it, just because it was not on the agenda.
Yep.
When it was published tonight, just for
understood.
fairness of time to comment about something like this. But I'm not opposed to having an actual policy and procedure. for it.
Now, bear in mind that though, at the workshop meeting, we normally have public comment. If we want to add public comment on this one item, we can. I really don't want to get into a huge public comment session at our workshop meetings.
No, but people can make an email, like they can email, us if
Absolutely.
they have something to say about it. I don't. feel-
well, here's the thing about that in this case. I'm afraid that what you're going to get is people who ask you to do something different than what's on this document. We
Oh.
can't. This document
It's based
is
on-
state law.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not saying people have to comment, I'm just saying to give someone feels strongly about a FOIL policy that they have, because it
Okay.
just got added at the beginning of our meeting and it wasn't on the
Oh,
agenda.
okay, you're saying so
comment about it.
we're waiting till, okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
saying like,
So-
everyone come and talk about.
So
their
to
FOIL
be clear, I'll put this on our agenda. We will change the language to say Rochester. Kate and I will verify the language,
I just looked it up. It is actual cost.
but we will change that to actual cost. I will post this on the website as backup for the agenda on the 11th. We will not do public comment though on the 11th. We'll just put it on and vote on it.
So I'm clear, what we're doing is we're taking what is already a state level policy and saying. this is
Making it
what
our
this
own
applies.
in layman's language.
So if somebody requests something that's not consistent with state policy, we can say, well.
Well, I always do that section, so.
Right.
FOIL
Yeah, we
law.
have to do that.
Yes.
But then but you're getting people who are debating.
Yeah, they just try to get a new FOIL.
What this does is this, you know, as Mary Lou and everybody has said, this is the state law. It's just put in more, in not legalese. It's a little more understandable.
Okay.
by adopting this as our policy, we're not changing the state law in any way. But now, if somebody comes to file a FOIL for Kate or Christina, they can hand them a copy of this policy and say, here's our policy. Or,
Maybe
"Here's
we
what-"
don't want to call it a policy. Maybe we want to put state guidelines for freedom of information.
Well, again, this isn't meant to hamper anybody's ability to ask for information, but it's an instruction manual on how to do it correctly and how not to,
It says that right in the first sentence in the purpose. Clarification and guidance. I think we just call it policy. I think if we start putting too many words in there, it gets legalese. Policy is to provide clarification and guidance regarding freedom of information requests by members of the public. Period. Okay, good. I will bring that back to us. So, thank you, Paul, for that. So I'm gonna ask then, we're gonna talk to Mary Lou in an attorney's meeting, so we can, we'll adjourn then unless anybody has any other topics they wish to bring up. So we'll adjourn in memoriam for the names Lester McCandless, Richard Vandermark, Peter Scott, Lois Gross, and all will continue thinking about all suffering throughout the country from gun violence and the people of Ukraine. So a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. Thank you, Kate. So I'm gonna end. I'm gonna end the meeting. Well, no, I can stop.
Rave reviews.
Great ones.
Are you streaming from your computer?
Oh, no. See, you got here at the right time.
I did love it.